Hi there, I'm Ryan Gatz. I'm a visual effects artist at Effectsville. Today I'd like to talk a bit about what makes a good texture for real-time visual effects. In any project, you want a variety of textures that can be used to represent various types of materials and various scales of detail. This kind of texture is often called noise. Depending on what the style of your game is, these textures can look a little different and are certainly going to be used a little bit differently in your materials, but the fundamentals about what makes a good noise texture applies to all styles. To give yourself flexibility, you should have a variety of textures that give you a good range of frequencies of noise, as well as different shapes of noise that looks wispy, rocky, splashy, stringy, spotty, or any number of other adjectives. These textures can be painted by hand in a program like Krita, or generated procedurally in a program like FilterForge. Krita is free and has a tiled painting mode that is leaps and bounds easier to work in than Photoshop. The program itself can take a little getting used to if you're coming from Photoshop, but there are a bunch of tutorials and resources out there to help you get started. FilterForge is a really useful program for generating textures, and once you have a filter working, it's trivial to make new variations. This flexibility, coupled with mathematical precision, makes it really useful for generating effects textures. However you choose to make your textures, there are some common features that all good effects textures share. First up, they tile smoothly. In order for a texture to be used in lots of different situations, it needs to be flexible. You need to be able to tile or pan the texture without worrying about it showing seams. 2. They don't clip. Make sure you don't have vast areas of black or white in your texture. These kinds of plateaus blend badly a lot of the time, and can make your textures inflexible when you try to brighten them, since 0 times 1000 is still 0. So try to fit all of the gray values in your texture between black and white without reaching either, especially black. 3. They have an even distribution of detail and value. Try to make your textures such that every section of it is as interesting as any other section. Try not to have repetitive columns or rows where most of your interesting detail is. This creates a noticeable tiling effect when you repeat the texture, and will make for gaps in detail when panning or picking a random section of the texture. 4. They have a distribution of values that center around 50% gray. It helps a lot if all of your effects textures have brightness distributions that are pretty similar. It makes it easier to swap in different assets in behaviorally similar but texturally different materials. 5. They have resolutions that match the frequency of noise they contain. Don't try to fit really high detail noise into a 256 by 256 texture, and don't waste the memory of a 4K texture on really soft, low detail noise. If you're not sure where to start, make a few different frequencies of purlin noise. Purlin noise is an incredibly common style of noise, and it's pretty generic. Lower detail purlin noise is good for things like waves, soft clouds, or pulses, while higher detail purlin noise can be good for dirt, rough clouds, grime, weathering, or even fast-moving fire or water. Most of these materials can be handled better by a more specialized texture, but purlin noise is often a good place to start. With a few good textures at hand, you'll have a palette to work with when making materials and effects, and you'll save iteration time that would otherwise go towards generating new unique textures for whatever effect you happen to be working on. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please subscribe and check back for my next video, which will be about combining textures.